Hey, yo, what's up? This is The Most Good You Can Do by Peter Singer. And if you're coming to this book, this is a great book. I just finished it up. Loved it. If you're coming to this book, you are interested in the question, how can I improve the world? How can just average people do extraordinary things to save a life in the world? Big questions and a lot of pretty easy reading and a way to break this down. So in this book, Peter Singer, he's an applied ethicist, which basically means he thinks a lot about logic and philosophy and applies it in ways that we can use it in the world. He's been doing this. He's written dozens of books, started in the 70s when he was writing about a lot of ways of treating animals more ethically, and since has written dozens of books. So The Most Good You Can Do is one of his latest books, and this is about the effective altruist movement. So effective altruism. I'm going to break that down for you and share a little bit from the book so that you can watch this video and get some takeaways. And then afterwards, hopefully you'll either read the book or you can join me on the On Books podcast for a discussion about the book. So let me give you a few takeaways from this book here. So effective altruism. Effective altruism is a name for a type of person that wants to do the most good in the world, that wants to improve the world and wants to think effectively. If you're giving a donation, I want to make sure that the money that I'm giving to Save the Children or to whatever, foundation, that money is actually going somewhere that is going to improve the life of someone. You're doing the breakdown, the math, the thinking to make sure that this is happening. And actually what this book is about is it gives you ways to not have to think so much. There are charities, there are things like GiveWell, which it discusses in this book, which does ranking of the best charities out there and the most effectiveness of them. And there are some chapters in here that will show the way that people are living their lives and give examples and breakdowns of salary and giving and things around the world to help inspire you to look at better examples of people doing this so that, again, you don't have to really, spend all of your cognitive load thinking, well, what do? I feel paralyzed. I don't know how to improve the world, so I'm not going to do anything. That's what this book is saying, don't do. It's saying, do something. Read this book and get inspired. And so effective altruism is the name for that type of person who is curious and hungry about changing the world and thinking critically about, not just sending the check, but actually going like, is something happening at the other end of giving money or giving time or giving whatever, your body. More on that in a second. So an effective altruist is somebody that gives away a percentage of their salary to donate and to help other people. The minimum percentage that Peter talks about in this book is he says that everyone in an affluent country, basically if you're making more than $50,000 a year, you should be giving 5% of your salary to some cause. Specifically, he lists a bunch in here, as well as GiveWell, where there are lists of charities that are the most effective. And so that's one way of thinking about doing the most good. I'm just going to state the facts here. You could read the book and you can argue in your head about whether you believe that or you just don't believe that, but that's the main argument. And I'll just say that I came in it being a little skeptical and a little confused, and I think that the book really nicely breaks it down and shows that little bit can help save lives and can be really influential in the world. And you don't necessarily need to be Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or somebody super rich. You can do something right now. That's what an effective altruist does. In this book, Peter talks about effective altruists choosing a job career, choosing a path, right? And you may want to choose to work for a nonprofit or something where you're on the ground doing the good work, working pro bono or whatever. He's like, but that's not necessarily what an effective altruist has to be. An effective altruist can also be somebody that works for Wall Street and makes a lot of money, because the most money that you make, you can then be a responsible human in this world who can then say, and give that percentage, that 5%, that 10%. Sometimes even certain executives, I believe it's of GE or certain companies, are part of their salary is it's 40%. It's some huge percentage of their salary is going to donate and to help effectively people around the world. And so there's some incredibly inspiring stories in here, which are really great. What does Peter mean by the most good? What is the most good? Well, his definition here on the most good is doing good that allows for less suffering in the world. If you believe that there should be less suffering in the world, then you could perhaps be an effective altruist who wants to do the most good. If you believe that a world where people live longer is better than a world where people live shorter, then that is the focus of an effective altruist. And if you want to be a human that is instrumental in slowing down and reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and you think that climate change is something that we as human beings need to stand up and take control of, he makes a really compelling argument here that reducing greenhouse gas emissions, the most effective way to do that is to encourage vegetarianism. And whether you like that or not, there is a logical breakdown in here on how to live your life more of doing the most good and being more effective, and that's what this is about. And if you agree or disagree, you can read his arguments and you can weigh in on it and make your own mind up. But that's what the book's about. It's about the decisions that we make in our own lives and how it affects the world and people around the world. And I'm really glad this book landed on my desk. I'm happy I found it. So if this got you interested, I encourage you to read The Most Good You Can Do by Peter Singer, and I will have an interview on the On Books podcast with Peter Singer, as well as a more in-depth review of the book. You can download the On Books podcast at iTunes or on the iTunes podcast app, just On Books, or you can go to the website on-books.com where I'll list it there. So check that out. Let me know if you have any questions, any thoughts. If you've read the book, I'd love to know what you're thinking. I don't know too many people who have read this. Again, it's a pretty new book, but I would love to chat with you. So let me know what you're thinking. All right, enjoy.